wanted to, this Western boxer kept putting down the Chinese race, and it was just something where Donnie Yen, Yip Man, wanted to stand up for his race to show that, hey, we deserve equal respect, and he's not fighting for himself, he's fighting for the entire race, and that's a totally different thing. And I think that is a lot more justifiable, because he's fighting just for equality. And when you talking about equality, is similar in a larger scale, is very similar to like the Civil War. You have like an entire war about equality, where you might have like a certain race that believes that another race is just is inferior, and they're gonna treat them in certain ways until treat them in certain ways and oppress them. There's problems, and that's why civil wars go on, and that's something where it becomes like a justifiable war, because you're fighting for equality, and that's the reason why there's laws established now, because it's very important for there to be equality between races. And if there's not, then something has to be done, no matter if it's the law stepping in between. And in this case, where there's actual basically a competition, basically to gain that respect. And a lot of times younger children and teenagers, they have to go through this from bullies. The bullies don't respect them, they don't treat them with equality, and then sometimes people end up fighting over this, and like I said, it wasn't a personal issue. It was about the entire fighting for his entire race, and that to me gave him better reason on why to do what he did. So he ended up fighting this guy in the ring for that reason. And in the movie, it turns out that Donnie Yen was able to overcome and basically gain that respect and equality for the race, and that bully had to be taught a lesson. But that is a movie, and in movies, when the story turns out good and giving some type of positive meaning, then I see martial arts as a way to, that it's good to use martial arts in a way to really tell a good story and teach a good meaning and teach people good values. So typically in most movies, they're able to do this. If they were teaching the opposite, teaching people to be more violent, more hate, have more anger, more hatred, and to treat people with disrespect, then it would be a complete disaster to basically exploit martial arts in which to promote horrible things, horrible values for society. And in most movies, it's good that they try to teach you something, positive. And what I see is it should be for that. Martial arts should be used for that, to teach. It should be used as entertainment, of course, but then to eventually teach. Now, if martial arts is just used for entertainment alone and nothing more, I don't agree with that, because people do not learn anything, and all they learn is to become more aggressive and to be more competitive, to be more egoistic. And that's exactly what competition fighting does, that I do not like. They don't teach anything. They just teach people just to fight out of anger and to basically show people, hey, if you could beat somebody until submission, or you beat somebody until they can't fight you back anymore, then hey, that's good, and that's what you should do, and that's what you should practice, and that's how you should be. I believe that's a horrible thing, and that's not what that should not be promoted in society. So in the movie, he is trying to fight for equality for his race, the respect. But in real life, that I see that there's a lot of people like that Western boxer, that Caucasian boxer in the movie, that will continue to disrespect and treat people like they're inferior. And no matter how many times you try to beat them in the ring or whatever, there's going to continue to be people like that. And the way that I see it in real life, Donnie Yen might have, won that match for that time, but that boxer will come back strong the next time and still have that ego and still talk down and still disrespect and still continue on with his way. I do not believe that boxer learned anything, even though he lost. I feel that these types of people, when they have this mentality that they think that they're better than everybody around them, you could beat them down. You could beat them one match, but that's their mentality is gonna be like, you were lucky, I'm gonna come back and get you next time. You beat them again, they're gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna beat you next time. You were lucky again. You're nothing. I just gotta train harder and I'm gonna beat you. It's just endless. It's just endless cycle of violence and war. And I feel that Donnie Yen just shouldn't have even fought. But I understand that it's a movie and they want to give some type of reason to fight. But I'm talking about real life. In real life, there's even no reason to fight, because these people that have this lack of disrespect, they will continue to have this lack of disrespect. Even if you beat them in the ring or you beat them in whatever, they will continue on with their ways. And I think it's very sad. But when people have this mentality of developing this ego, it just comes strong back over and over again. Because that's what competition fighting is. People could lose over and over again, but then they come, after they lose, they figure, oh, I just gotta train harder, I'm gonna win next time. So it's just endless. And the thing about it is just, to take yourself out of this cycle of competition and violence and hatred, and to just basically be in peace, and to just, the person thinks he's better, who cares? Allow him to think what he wants to think. If he thinks he's better, oh well. Because even if you do beat him, he's still going to think he's better. He'll just think that you're lucky or whatever. So you can't really change the way a person thinks by aggressively putting force towards them. It's going to have to be in different ways that you have to educate these types of people. That's just what I think. And the person has to really, you have to really put the person in front of somebody that is way above them, to where they have to basically submit, or to basically surrender themselves to the person above them, and then the person above them can finally teach them. So meaning, this Western boxer, if he surrendered himself to some type of master that was way above him, just beyond him, where he can't even touch the master at all, and then the master may be able to teach him. Kind of like a child having to surrender himself to a parent. If the child doesn't listen, or just basically thinks that he's better or whatever, the parent will put him in his place. And that's what has to happen with people like that boxer, is they have to surrender himself to someone much greater, and then that person has to basically guide him in the right way. And that was supposed to happen at the beginning of when he first learned how to fight, because then he didn't know how to fight, and the master or coach would be way above him, and he's supposed to guide him towards, the right way. But because the coach didn't do that and continued to train him in becoming extremely skillful, now that he becomes extremely skillful, now he just feels like there's no one that he has to listen to. Now he feels he's like above everything, like kind of like above the law, like he doesn't have to listen to anybody. Well, that's the dangers of teaching somebody martial arts that isn't meant to learn, or the dangers of teaching somebody and guiding them in the wrong directions.